Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic. At what point did you decide you were never going to be rich? Never going to be exceptional, but that was okay. I'm a professor, and I was at an R-1 university. There you are expected to write grants, and usually the professor opts to pay themselves out of the grant money for the things they are doing. Professors can get rich from this, especially in engineering, medicine, etc. It is how you become famous in your field. I hated it. I moved to a teaching-focused university. I like to be done when I go home at night. I like snowboarding and Lego. I am infinitely happier. Less money and fame, but who cares? Edit/note, the idea is that at an R-1 the base salary after tenure is usually around $100,000. Add-on contracts, grants, speaking fees, etc. can double that. In most college towns in America, if you make anywhere near $200,000 you can pay your mortgage off in less than 10 years and you will never worry about money again. I mean normal person rich, not yacht rich. An engineering professor who likes Lego. Color me surprised. Why is Lego always autocorrected to be capitalized? I was about a 30-year-old chef. 50 now. Still love it, have a family. Work too hard for too little. Get to see them as much as I like, but if they need shoes or money for sports registration I can provide. Bruh, that's sad. I hate that some people work really hard and still struggle. Part of it is where we live. Expensive state, but my wife wants to be near her family. Plus, I don't know how to do anything else. There's people worse off than what we are. Just posted this above, but I thought given your username you would appreciate. It is no bad thing to celebrate a simple life. J.R.R. Tolkien. My life got a lot better and I became much happier when I embraced simplicity. I work with dogs for a living. I make enough to pay my bills, but I'll never be rich. I'll never own a home of my own without roommates. One of my biggest pet peeves is the fact that people often shit on me for having a menial job. They basically call it a cop-out. It's too easy, I'll always be poor, why don't I find something better? But I wake up every morning not dreading going to work. I don't fantasize about strangling my boss because she's flipping awesome. I don't come home completely stressed out and hating life because I'm stuck at a job that I hate with people who annoy the hell out of me. A bad day with a dog is still better than the best day with humans. It must be nice to go to work at 10 and be home by 3, my roommate regularly scoffs. You're right. It is nice. And my rent is paid, so you enjoy your 8 to 5 buddy. Edit, thank you so much for all the awards. For some more context, I am a pet care provider. Dog walking and pet sitting are our primary functions, but we offer other services such as basic training, administering medications, and transportation for vet/grooming appointments. I pay for my own health insurance, and I'm covered under the company insurance if I'm injured on the job. I do put money away into savings for my future, and I am blessed with an awesome cousin who is going in on a small home with me once we have enough for a down payment. I greatly appreciate the sweet comments and reading your stories of choosing happiness with whatever career you pursue. As for the rude comments and DMs, well, I'm sorry my life choices offend you and I hope your weekend is as delightful as you are. Know someone just like you who inspired me to get a tiny house. She got a second job for 3 years. Just long enough to get the deposit for the tiny house of her dreams. What she pays for the loan and to park in an RV park, which includes electric/water/Wi-Fi, is the same she was paying for her part of the rent and utilities for a shared apartment. She'll have the tiny house paid off in 7 years and it will be hers forever. She said those 3 years sucked, but now she owns her own roof and is back to working as a dog trainer/walker 20 to 30 hours a week. She loves her life. This is probably the nicest thing I've read all week. You don't need to be loaded or successful by societal standards to be happy. And I'm realizing more and more as the day goes by that being happy is all that even matters. Thank you for sharing. I've decided it, but I'm still not okay with it. Lol tbh, I don't think I ever wanted to be loaded, just enough to not have to worry about going over my overdraft all the time. I'm more bothered by the fact that I've worked hard and studied to end up in a minimum wage job which bores the pants off me. But I have a roof over my head and a loving partner and family, so I'm still lucky. What did you study? I have masters in pizza making. when I started taking antidepressants. I used to be so sad about my life and really suffering from gifted kid syndrome. Everyone told me I'd be something and I was struggling with self-hatred for not living up to that. Once I got my depression under control, I realized how comfortable I am with my life. I've got a job with good benefits and a respectable salary. I live in an apartment that's comfortable for me, not too huge, but not a showbox. I realized I don't want or need to make a ton of money, or live in a big house, or have a fancy car. Middle of the road is peaceful and fulfilling. Edit. Wow, the reception to this comment was huge. Thank you to everyone who replied with their similar stories. I hope you can all find this kind of peace in your journeys soon. Also, if you were a gifted kid that started struggling after high school, get tested for ADHD. If I had $1 for every gifted kid I knew who hit a wall after school and ended up diagnosed with ADHD, I could probably buy Reddit. I tell myself often that I'm living a life that most people in the world can only dream of: good health, a loving family, a safe house to live in and good food in the table. It really is enough. I was in Vietnam 4 years ago, almost to the day actually, and we went out into the Mekong Delta during Tet. Met with a bunch of people along the way, ended up eating with a family who invited us to their house. These people had very little. They had each other, a giant wild 13-foot Burmese python that they fed live chickens to, a 30-second walk to the river, and the plot of land they lived on where their ancestors were buried. They make them bury them there so that the family never sells the land, supposedly. That was it. Nothing more. They were all incredibly happy people, you could tell. Just living life. Not worried about which car they wanted next, or which phone they had versus their neighbor. They were a farming family and had a little plot of land. In that respect they were successful. We're conditioned in the Western world by capitalism. The constant barrage of Instagram, commercials, ads on bus benches, billboards, in video games, etc. We're conditioned to always want more. Spend, spend, spend. I realized during my time in Vietnam that none of that shit matters, it shouldn't affect your happiness, and that it was simply a device that we've been programmed by every day of our lives. I already knew that, but seeing other people with so much less than I have being so much happier was something that stuck with me. I was the top student in my class, I took all the advanced classes in high school and set the curve on most tests. I had really high expectations for myself, and so did everyone else. My teachers told me that they thought I was going to be very successful. Honestly, it felt like someone had turned the difficulty slider for my life way down. Everything was working exactly as I wanted, and everything was easy. I knew which college I wanted to go to and got which degree. I didn't even apply for any other university because I knew I would get in where I wanted. But they didn't have enough room on campus for me to stay, so I had to get an apartment. At the time, I thought that was awesome. Especially since it was a rule that all freshmen had to stay on campus. I loved the extra freedom that gave me. But I had to get a job to pay for my apartment, so I got a temp job at a local factory in the evenings, and went to class in the mornings. I should say tried to go to class. I was late to class almost every day. I couldn't handle going to school full-time, working full-time, and living alone for the first time. It was just too much. I went to my advisor and explained my situation, and he recommended that I drop out and look into online college. I didn't even go home and think about it. I went straight from his office to the dean's office and filled out the paperwork to drop out. I went home, cried, called my mom, cried some more, and then fell asleep. I felt worthless, like I had failed everyone that had ever believed in me. Over and over I kept telling myself that I would look back on that day with regret for the rest of my life. Luckily I was wrong. It's been almost 10 years since then and I've managed to make a pretty good life for myself without a degree. Turns out, I'm really good at factory work and I've managed to get 5 promotions since then and now I make pretty decent money. I live well within my means and I've managed to avoid getting into any debt besides my car and my house. I've invested a lot of my money over the years, investing, not day trading, so I didn't get in on the GME deal, and those investments have done quite well. I have a decent car, but nothing fancy. I've got a fairly small house, but it's more than enough for me. My income may not be as high as some of my classmates, I may not have as prestigious of a position as I could have had, but that's totally okay with me. I've worked to earn everything I have, and I have enough. This is like the Instagram/YouTube/LinkedIn post. Those are often people pretending to be happy but there's something else behind the curtains. This is someone actually content but not in a flashy or hyped up way. It's great. I knew I wasn't going to be rich when I found the job I love. It's seasonal work, early spring to early winter, with chaotic hours. I find out my shift the day before I work it, usually working 8 to 15 hours, and lower pay, 13.50 an hour, but I'll be damned if I don't love it. I get paid to sit on my ass all day, reading books, and checking a sample every 15 minutes. My office is amazing, as I'm about 100 feet from the Mississippi River, and I deal with people. It's easy to get time off, my co-workers are super laid back, and my boss is fantastic. Nobody yells at me, I don't have any high expectations held to me. I adore the job, and it makes me very happy. What is this job, if you don't mind me asking? I inspect corn and beans all day, and sometimes look inside barges.